Magnus Chase and the Hammer of Thor by Rick Riordan. Chapter number 1. Could you please stop playing my goat? Listen, nerd, if you take a Valkyrie out for coffee, you'll get stuck with a check and a dead body. I hadn't seen Samira Al-Abbas in almost 6 weeks. So when she called out of the blue and said that we needed to talk about a matter of life and death, I agreed right away. Technically, I'm already dead, which means the whole life and death thing didn't apply, but still, Sam sounded anxious. She hadn't yet arrived when I got to the Thinking Cup on Newbury Street. The place was packed as usual, so I queued up for coffee. A few seconds later, Sam flew in, literally right over the heads of the cafe patrons. Nobody batted an eye. Regular mortals aren't good at processing magical stuff, which is fortunate, because otherwise Bostonians would spend most of their time running around in a panic from giants, trolls, ogres, and in her jar with battle axes and lattice. Sam landed next to me in her school uniform, white sneakers, khaki slacks, and long-sleeve navy shirt with the academy logo. A green hijab covered her hair, an axe hung from her belt. I was pretty sure the axe wasn't standard dress code. As glad as I was to see her, I noted that the skin under her eyes was darker than usual. She was swaying on her feet. "Hey," I said, "you look terrible." "Nice to see you too, Magnus." "No, I mean not terrible like different than usual. Terrible, like exhausted. Should I get you a shovel so you can dig that hole a little deeper?" I raised my hands in surrender. "Where have you been the last month and a half?" Her shoulder tightened. "My workload this semester has been killing me. I'm tutoring kids after school. Then, as you might remember, there's my part-time job reaping souls of dead and running top-secret missions for Odin. You kids today and your busy schedules. On top of all that, there's flight school." "Flight school?" We shuffled forward with the line. "Like airplanes?" I know Sam's goal was to become a professional pilot someday, but I hadn't realized she was already taking lessons. You can do that at 16? Her eyes sparkled with excitement. My grandparents could never have afforded it, but the Fadlands have this friends who runs a flight school. They finally convinced Jid and Bibi. I grinned. So the lessons were a gift from Amir? Sam blushed. She's the only teenager I know who has a betrothed, and it's cute how flustered she gets when she talks about Amir Fadlan. Those lessons were the most thoughtful, the most considerate. She sighed wistfully. But enough of that. I didn't bring you here to talk about my schedule. We have an informant to meet. An informant? This could be the break I've been waiting for. If his information is good. Sam's phone buzzed. She fished it out of her pocket, checked the screen, and cursed. "I have to go. He just got here. Valkyrie business. Possible code 381. Heroic death in progress." "You're making that up." "I'm not." So what somebody thinks they're about to die and they text you going down, need Valkyrie ASAP, followed by a bunch of sad face emoji. "I seem to recall taking your soul in Valhalla. You didn't text me." "No, but I'm special." "Just get a table outside," she said. "Me and my informant. I'll be back as soon as I can." "I don't even know what your informant looks like." "You'll recognize him when you see him." Sam promised. "Be brave. Also, get me a scone." She flew out the shop like super Muslima, leaving me to pay for our order. I got 2 large coffees and 2 scones and found a table outside. Spring had arrived early in Boston. Patches of dirty snow still clung to the curbs like dental plaque, but the cherry trees popped with white and red buds. Flowery pastel clothing displays bloomed in the windows of high-end boutiques. Tourists strolled by enjoying the sunshine. Sitting outside, comfortable in my freshly laundered jeans, t-shirt, and denim jacket, I realized this would be the first spring in 3 years that I hadn't been homeless. Last March, I had been scrounging from dumpsters. I'd been sleeping under a bridge in the public garden, hanging out with my buddies Hearth and Blitz, avoiding the cops and just trying to stay alive. Then 2 months ago, I died fighting a fire giant. I'd woken up in the Hotel Valhalla as one of Odin's Aenharji warriors. Now I had clean clothes. I took a shower every day. I slept in comfortable bed every night. I could sit at this cafe table eating food I'd actually paid for and not worry about when the staff would force me to move along. This is my rebirth. I got used to a lot of weird stuff. I traveled the 9 worlds meeting Norse gods, elves, dwarves, and a bunch of monsters with names I couldn't pronounce. I'd scored a magical sword that presently hung around my neck in the form of a runestone pendant. I'd even had a mind-melting conversation with my cousin Annabeth about the Greek gods, who hung out in New York and made her life difficult. Apparently, North America was lousy with ancient gods. We had a full-blown infestation. All of that I'd learned to accept, but being back in Boston on a nice spring day, hanging out like a regular mortal kid, that felt strange. I scanned the crowd of pedestrians looking for Sam's informant. You'll recognize him when you see him, she'd promised. I wondered what kind of information this guy had, and why Sam considered it life and death. My gaze fixed on a storefront at the end of the block. Over the doorway, the brass and silver sign still gleamed proudly, Blitzen's best. But the shop was shuttered. The front door window was papered over on the side with the message hastily scrawled in red marker, closed for remodeling, back soon. I'd been hoping to ask Samira about that. I had no idea why my old friend Blitz had abruptly disappeared. One day, a few weeks ago, I just walked by the shop and found it closed. Since then, there's been no word from Blitzen or Hearthstone, which wasn't like them. Thinking about this made me so preoccupied. I almost didn't see our informant until he was right on top of me. But Sam was correct. He kind of stood out. It's not every day you see a goat in a trench coat. A porcupine that was wedged between his curly horns, a pair of sunglasses perched on his nose. His trench coat kept getting tangled in his back hooves. Despite this clever disguise, I recognized him. I'd killed and eaten this particular goat on another world, which is the sort of bonding experience you don't forget. Otis, I said. Shh, he said. I'm incognito. Call me Otis. I'm not sure that's how incognito works, but okay. Otis, aka Otis, climbed onto the chair I'd reserved for Sam. He sat on his back, hunched, and put his front hooves on the table. Where is the battery? Is she incognito too? He peered at the nearest pastry bag as if Sam might be hiding inside. Samira had to go reap a soap, I said. She'll be back soon.